We've gone a long way from here. You want to photo bash like a pro? Because today, we're photo bashing. In my previous video, I asked if you guys wanted to see a photo bashing demo, and it seemed like a lot of you guys do. I think I am the perfect person to show you because I've been doing it for over like 15 years at the beginning of my art journey, so I have a lot of tips and tricks. I'm also working on a piece for my new book coming out next year, so I'll walk you through my photo bashing process and also bring in some previous pieces that have photo bashing in them to show you. Before we get into this, I want to give a quick history lesson on photo bashing because it's important to understand where it came from before you jump in. Photo bashing is the act of using reference photos and assets in your work to save time. Back then, illustrators would collect physical photos and references and compile them in a composition so they have a rough base before they commit to the actual piece. Magazines also use this so they can map out their spreads. Fashion designers, fashion houses kind of compile images for their mood boards and their collection to see what works and what doesn't. I'm getting a headache because this is I feel like I'm at a rave and my head is spinning. And so I'm gonna take these off. So photo bashing is a similar headspace where you're collecting materials, references, assets to help assist you with your piece. Whether you just wanna compose your image with photos or use it for texture, there's a million ways to photo bash. In today's world, illustrators and artists, they photo bash a lot just to save time. In video games, movies, television, theme parks, these studios and companies, they have deadlines and budgets and they don't really care if you paint every blade of grass. There's no right way to photo bash. I'm gonna use it to get a more painterly look rather than a matte painting. Matte painting uses photos to make it look photo real, usually as a movie backdrop or a set. Back then, my inspiration for matte painting with a little painterly vibe are Dylan Cole and Andrew Wallen. My natural style, I tend to gravitate towards something more expressive and painterly. More recent, I've seen a lot more anime artists use photo bashing in their work and I think it looks awesome. For my art personally, I use it to help compose my images and also get some cool photo textured look that I couldn't get with a regular brush. All right, history lesson is over. I had to print out some notes to help me remember everything. It was a great lesson though. I feel like you learned more about photo bashing in this video than in actual art school. No shade. I have an idea here for my new painting where my character Hollow is sitting at a piano, you know, side shot. I could do a few things here. I could go on the internet and find exactly what I'm looking for. Great, I have so much reference here. All these images here are readily available to help you. You know, most are professionally shot, or I can shoot my own reference. As an artist, sometimes I feel more, I guess, proud when I have a hand in the totality of it. Shoot my own reference, get the lighting right, get the pose right. Maybe it comes off as more unique and personal because I provided the reference. Each method is 100% valid. It's totally up to you and what you're comfortable with. Hollow is basically me and my dark side. I think it would be really fun if we went out and got actual reference. So let's do it. Yeah, so I found a piano store around my area with some amazing grand pianos, and the owner was super kind enough to let me shoot there. Also, a small secret, I just recently started piano, so one day, come back to this video when you know. Here is a reference photo that we took. I am playing the grand piano, you know, I look very intense. First thing we're gonna do is extract the subject out of the photo, and you can do this in several ways. The magic wand, you can spend some time lassoing. Some programs have smart feature where you can actually extract the subject out of the photo, but you need some clear parameters to do that. Let's try it out. Let's select subject. Oh! Yeah, see what I mean? It selected half my brain, one piano leg. Oh my God, okay. This is strangely poetic. You know, I am playing piano with half my brain. That is a concept for a future anime. I'm gonna show this extraction technique on a clearer reference photo. So I took a picture of this flower here and I'm going to go to select subject, boom. And it extracted this flower because it's a clearer picture. Again, it's not perfect, you know, you might have to clean up some of these edges, but this tool is still great to know. So whenever you're taking reference photos, you can plan for this extraction process. So my best extraction method here is gonna be lassoing. Ooh, Look at this. The next thing I want to do is make this look less like a photo and more like a painting. When we integrate photos, we have all this JPEG artifacts, all this texture that we don't really want. I find that amateur photo bashers have a harder time integrating the photos into their painting. That's just a skill that comes with time as your eye evolves. Don't worry, I'm gonna show you some tips on how to achieve that. So I'm going to apply some blurring and some filters just to make everything smoother. So for me in Photoshop, I'm going to go to filter. I have a filter gallery. Oh my gosh, I look demented over here. This is the glass distortion filter and we do not want that. I'm gonna use dry brush. Ooh, already you see that? In the effects tab, there's a texture scroller and I'm gonna put that all the way down. I'm also gonna go to detail and turn up the noise reduction. Nice, you see that? Look, before, after. I'm just smoothing everything out a little more. I'm gonna be painting on top, applying all the detail with a brush, so it looks a little more painterly. So while this reference is great, my character Hollow doesn't have a shirt. So in the comfort of my own home, don't laugh, I shot the reference in my underwear. I tried my best to match the lighting and the pose and just the overall posture. And now we have a better reference of Hollow's anatomy. The chest area is a little too big, but that's okay. We'll adjust that in a second. And we still have that grand piano that we shot with earlier. The next thing I'm gonna do is I wanna tweak this reference to better fit my image. So there's several ways on how to manipulate your photos to match your painting, distort and warp and liquefy. This method kind of made me viral on the internet, you know, transforming myself and my friends and my dog into characters. And so I'm gonna show you how I do that. I love liquefy. I use it on every painting. It's just a lifesaver. I think Hollow doesn't work out that much, right? And so I wanna reduce this chest a little bit. Minimize the arm, my side profile a little more stylized, you know, a little more anime. Adjusting my proportion to match my sketch. And so we have our reference here, and I think it looks great. So we can proceed here, or there's a second method, and it's to use this as more of a skeleton to stylize on top. And so I'm gonna create kind of like a light box here, you know? I'm going to draw on top, thinking about my character's proportions and design. I really like this method because you can kind of integrate your own drawing style into your piece. Traditional artists still do this today. The golden era of illustration, they had a light box. They kind of have reference and photos that they place underneath, and then the light would shine through, allowing the artist draw on top, you know, trace and copy, and adding their own style. Nice, that looks great. The next thing I'm gonna show you guys are color and value tools to help color match and harmonize your photos into your piece more. And I'm gonna go back to my photo reference here to help demonstrate that point. First, I'm gonna do curves and lower all the contrast and values. And I'm just gonna darken the background because I know this is a night scene. My lighting is a little too warm. And so the moonlight, we're out at night, it's gonna emit a cooler lighting. And so I'm gonna go to color balance. And I'm kind of making my educated guess for now. And then when I introduce the background, then I can properly integrate it. And I want to start introducing a scene. You know, I'm envisioning maybe like a dark forest or a meadow during midnight, moonlit, something dark and dreamy. So I'm gonna open up my reference folder here. On Patreon, we call this the second brain. Just this big reference folder with a bunch of categories like architecture, anatomy, animals. Started this folder like 13 years ago when Tumblr was big. Find pretty images and just drag them into one folder, and it was a complete shit show. But now we have folders, so we're making progress. Nothing can stop the creative flow more than being stressed looking for the right reference. So I have a short list of a few images that we're gonna experiment with. And this is one of my favorite parts about photo bashing. You know, you're getting results really quickly, you know, you're setting the scene. And just to have some fun, we are going to place our character in different type of environments. So I have this kind of like abandoned ruins vibe. And so let's see what happens. Dude, look at that. Holy shit, what the fuck? Really quickly, your brain just fills in the blanks and you start to understand what the scene could be, right? Feels like he's kind of playing piano for the Mayans. Ooh, look at this one, guys. Okay, we got something here. It's kind of beautiful. I like that a lot. When I worked on video games and movies and stuff like that, I would use this a lot just to get something down on the canvas, just to get the mood across really quickly. Sometimes the background can be a little jarring, and so I'll just blur it just to get the colors and the vibe. I'm kind of digging this one. I know it might be hard to see on your screen, and so I'm just going to lighten everything up. Again, We are going to apply some artistic filters just to smooth everything out. Ooh, I'm using color balance right now. Yeah, it's like slowly coming together, you know, it's a little more moodier. I removed some of the piano's reflection that don't really add to the piece. I just spent some time just making it look more like a painting. In my previous video, I revealed some secret painterly techniques, so if you're interested, you can go watch that. This next photo bashing technique is also one of my favorites, and that is to use photos with a clipping mask. We're gonna do it on the foreground, and we're also gonna do it on this kind of a tree trunk right here. So I have these two photos here that I took, and we're gonna use them. Love all this variety of leaves and plants, and that's perfect for what we're going for. I'm gonna put it on my image like this, and I'm just gonna clip it to the shape. Ooh, and so we wanna integrate it a little more. And so again, I'm just going to use artistic filters to smooth things out. So adjust the colors. Ooh, okay. Now let's do this tree trunk, and I have this image here I took last year, and I'm so happy that I get to use some of these images because I feel like whenever I'm out, I just get inspired and I take all these photos and I never use them. I'm gonna clip this photo to the shape. Nice. The colors and the values. Also, I kind of love this kind of random plant in front of the tree. You know, those are some of the happy accents that we get when we use stuff that's not from our brain. I'm gonna spend some time now just trying to blend all of these photo textures into my painting. I'm gonna use a combination of several different brushes and also the mixer brush. Hello.
A few hours later.
Hi everyone, welcome back, and here is the progress of our painting so far. That looks pretty good. It's like nighttime right now, which matches the mood of our painting. We've gone a long way from here. Boom! Yeah, you start to see the process, right? You kind of use photos to kind of help compose the image. Slowly but surely, you're kind of massaging and making it more painterly. So this next photo bashing technique, you see here, big shapes, right? It's like here's a block of grass, here's a piano, here's a tree. We want to add a little more detail to fill out the story of our scene. So I have this reference here of Milo in our front yard. Again, I'm using Photoshop, and I'm going to select the range of color that I want, put it into our scene. Boom. Awesome. So I use this in almost every painting, but you can see what it does, right? It gives a little bit of texture and detail to help bring the piece together. And if I even darken it, it looks like leaves. And I also use this technique on individual objects. I'm going to extract that color there. Ooh, that's pretty. So I love to use this for like flowers and foreground elements. And the foreground is a little blurrier depending on the lens, and so I'm going to do a Gaussian blur here. Yeah, look at that. We also can use it as a foreground silhouette. It's almost like an extracted texture, and so the shape is really interesting. Jumping right into the next tip is using the photo texture as an overlay. This creates a lot of fun chaos. This was like a big photo bashing technique that I saw the pros do. Overlaid textures on top of each other until they find something interesting, you know. It's really stimulating and you can pull a lot from it. So I have this picture of Milo here. I just love this background texture, you know, it's really stimulating. I'm just going to take some of this, put on top, put the blending mode to overlay. Ooh. Lower the opacity a little bit. Maybe we can take, oh wow, okay. And then I'm gonna go through the blending mode to see if something sparks my interest. Ooh, this is cool. Ooh, guys, what the heck? What a vibe change. Oh, guys. This mode is called exclusion. That's so pretty. I love this kind of warm sky in the back. This really works because everything in the foreground and hollow is more cool tone, and then we have the sky, the ambiance, which is a little more warmer, so there's a really nice contrast there. That's for a different painting. This technique kind of helps reset your brain, you know, making you look at your art with fresh eyes, get you out of that rigid mindset, create some spontaneity in your piece. And because it's so instant, automatically your brain's gonna go, ooh, that's cool, and you can decide whether you want to keep it or not. And the last photo bashing technique I want to show you is using photos for some lighting. Here's this photo here of some really interesting dappled lighting, and put that on. I'm gonna insert that into my scene. Ooh, adjust it a little bit. Ooh, nice. It helps me get some really interesting ideas. Let me try one more. Ooh, you can see how many ideas sparks from this kind of simple overlay technique. And I like to use this just to get some interesting shapes, some interesting ideas that I can't really like intellectually plan out. I don't think I can kind of sit there and plot how to do this. It just feels organic. It's Mother Nature. It just helps give a burst of creativity and gives like a very spontaneous energy to my painting. Also, this is only half the idea of my illustration. I want this to be kind of a dual concept piece, you know, day into night, have two characters kind of doing their thing back to back. So in the next video, I'm gonna paint the other half of this illustration and tease a new character in my upcoming project. So far, you've only seen Hollow, and there are 8 other characters. Since next month is my birthday month, I thought it would be kind of fitting. And at the end, we can combine both illustrations and see the whole entire piece. If you want to see my long form process, I have my monthly tutorials on Patreon. And if you want to level up your art game, I have my digital art bootcamp. And now let's end with some color dodge. I'm gonna photo bash you.